As an acting teacher, I had always longed to find a way to work with senior citizens. I imagined they were filled to the brim with thousands of stories and so many memories, both sweet and sad, that had shaped them and created courageous, deeply wise human beings. I sensed that they would bring a sense of freedom and a willingness to surrender their inhibitions because, as one senior actor said, "What else do I have to lose?" I was given that opportunity about 4 years ago when MAPA approached me with the idea of a Kupuna acting class for seniors. An online Hawaiian dictionary states, "Our kupuna are the source from which we come." The word kupu means to grow and bring forth, and puna refers to a spring of water, symbolizing the source of our existence. In all of my years of teaching actors from age 5 through to adults, I have never experienced a braver, more engaged, more willing to grow and bring forth group of actors than these Kupuna. Whether it was in person in the MAPA building or a class on Zoom, they enter every class with arms and hearts wide open, ready for whatever silliness I put in front of them. Every class was made up of a group of 12 to 20 people, some who had always yearned to act, but doubted that they would have the nerve to follow through. Many had already performed in plays. We were there for the sole purpose of exploration and connection. The enthusiasm was palpable, and it was such a joy to return to our class week after week. When we had to resort to computer screens because of COVID, we discussed how our lives had changed since quarantine. Since we were already working on monologues from plays, we explored the idea of writing stories about life during the pandemic. One of our seniors wanted to write a speech centering on the Black Lives Matter movement, which has been a focus for so many months as we work to bring justice and healing to our country. To you, our Kupuna, I'm so blessed by all of you. It took courage and determination to get to this point. Thank you for sharing your journeys with us. When I think of all of you, I'm reminded of a speech from The Tempest by William Shakespeare. Oh, wonder, how many goodly creatures are there here? How beauteous mankind is. Oh, brave new world that has such people in it. This production is dedicated to Joyce Romero, who passed away this year. Both her life and her works on the stage were always examples of brave acts. We were ever in awe of her immense talents and commitment to our Kupuna class, even during some very challenging times. We miss your courage and your spunky, brilliant presence, dear Joyce. We thank you, our audience, for your time as you listen to our stories, our brave acts. Mahalo.
Six weeks before a dance show, I am flying high. 7 months of choreography is almost done, and 1,246 costumes have been carefully selected, ordered, and are on their way. Days are flying by, filled from 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 or 12 at night at least. I love this kind of stress. It keeps me young and it fuels my itch for creativity. The music, the kids, the camaraderie, I'm flying high. And then bam! There'll be no show, no classes, no dance, and no contact with anyone. I sat on the couch for 3 days, staring into space. Maybe it was 3 weeks. It felt like 3 weeks. I felt so sad for the kids. I felt so sorry for the graduating high school seniors who couldn't get their solo spotlight after 13 years of planning and waiting and taking 10 plus classes a week. I felt empty I've heard it's not healthy to wrap yourself up in what you do for a living. However, when my youngest daughter, Talia, left for college 13 years ago, my job became my everything. It fulfilled me in every way. I never once said, "Oh, I wish I didn't have to go to work today." Never. I love telling people I'm the dance director of a performing arts academy. I am what I do. So, who am I now? Will dance performances come back? And if so, when? All my friends that are my age, they're all retired. Part of me feels like, well, this little break could extend my career by a few years. Maybe I can work till I'm 90 like Martha Graham did. Now, all I can do is focus on staying healthy, staying ready, and living in the moment. Stay positive and be kind. Not easy in these times. Friends asked me, "Don't you miss teaching?" Well, I taught for 7 weeks this summer on Zoom. That was a learning curve. It was stressful. Setting up the living room as a studio, figuring out how to do effective sound, what gadgets to buy to make sure your Wi-Fi doesn't buffer, trying to reach through that tiny screen to little ones to make sure that they feel seen and heard. Good job, Ari. Finally, 6 months later, I have the opportunity to teach a private lesson in person. Did I miss it? After the class, driving down the hill from Pukalani, how was I feeling? I was flying high. I was flying high.
Before the coronavirus pandemic, 54 million people in America sang in choruses and choirs. I was one of them. Now we know that a pastime as old as humanity itself can be deadly. Superspreader events experienced by choirs in the United States and in Europe, along with research into the mechanics of singing, have led scientists to conclude that group singing is simply not safe during this pandemic. As a result, choirs, choruses, opera companies, and musical theater productions all over the world have fallen silent. I've sung in choirs and choruses off and on since I was 4 years old. Communal singing remains my passion today. The funny thing is, I don't really have a great voice. And I have to admit that as I've gotten older, it hasn't gotten any better. That's the beauty of a chorus, though. People with average voices who learn to listen to each other can produce music of incomparable beauty. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Singing solo can never replace the sense of connection that choir singers have to each other. Researchers have discovered that when a well-trained chorus breathes together and sings in unison, the singers' heartbeats synchronize. I've experienced this miracle myself. One of my favorite choral works is Brahms' German Requiem. A traditional requiem mass focuses on the soul of the departed, but the Brahms Requiem was intended to comfort the living. The chorus sings the second movement in unison. The music starts quietly at a stately tempo, but gradually becomes faster and louder. As the intensity builds, the timpani's beat becomes more prominent. I've often thought that this timpani part represents the heartbeat of humanity. And when I sing the second movement of the Brahms Requiem with others, my heartbeat synchronizes with theirs. Perhaps that's why I experience an intense feeling of well-being when I rehearse or perform with my chorus. When I breathe with them, when my heart beats with theirs, I am more than a colleague or a friend. I become part of a single living organism with my fellow singers. No wonder that communal singing decreases anxiety, loneliness, and depression. Yet, precisely at the moment when most of the world is feeling anxious, lonely, and depressed, it's not safe to lift each other up by singing together. Deprived of a close physical connection to my community of singers during this pandemic, I feel a profound sense of grief. Even Brahms can't comfort me as I mourn this loss.
I don't want to talk about it. COVID? I don't want to talk about it, really. I wear my mask when I leave the house or if someone comes to the door. Shopping? My son and daughter shopped for me from March until August. I didn't leave the house. Sometimes I drove to the beach and sat in my car watching the waves. I didn't go anywhere or really see anyone in that time. I go shopping now for food, but only when needed and least crowded times of the day. I miss the theater and my ceramics classes. We had just finished a play at Pro Arts when COVID hit, on the brink of closing the doors. We had no idea we'd be closed this long. I don't want to think about it. So many people are sick, dying, alone, with no family or friends with them. I had 2 friends pass away during this COVID. Neither one had COVID, but they were still alone. And I don't want to talk about it. My family is surviving. Lots of families are surviving. One grandchild is missing his senior year. The other is missing his freshman year. They're coping well, as most young people do. My son, he was out of work till September. He is back at work now and happy about it. My daughter is not, and it doesn't look like it'll happen anytime soon. Spas won't be opening anytime soon. She's thinking maybe to find something else, something different to do, and that is something to talk about. My mainland family are in it up to their noses. My brother's family order food delivered and they wipe it down before it enters the house. Too many people on the East Coast are getting sick and they're afraid. We're afraid. I keep them in my prayers. I don't think I need to talk about that. I'm thankful for all the people that are working with the sick, the doctors, the nurses, paramedics, all the helpers in the hospitals and the food servers, police, firemen, everyone putting themselves out there every day to reach those who need to stay safe or helped during their sickness. People are wearing masks to keep safe for their families so they can work. To those who don't think it's necessary, I don't want to talk about it. Maui and the other islands are trying to stay safe, and they're doing a good job. The oceans look healthy. The sea life is liking that. The noise level has been low and peaceful. I would love it to stay that way, but I know it won't. So, we are hoping for a vaccine soon. We're hoping to get back to work and play and hugging. Hoping very much that the rash of visitors who choose to come here during this time will be COVID-free. We all want to be safe and healthy. We should all be talking about that. Aloha.
Do I have a story to tell you? You wouldn't believe me if I told you. In this day and age, in America, in Maui, not possible. For 16 weeks, 16 weeks, I was held hostage in my own home by the coronavirus. And it's such a pretty virus, like a flower, a poison flower. I'm 83 years old, and I wasn't allowed to step foot outside my own home. What did I do, you ask? Nothing. It was the coronavirus epidemic, not me. I was being held like a prisoner for my own good. Does anybody in prison think it's for their own good? Okay, I wasn't really a prisoner, but I couldn't go out. I couldn't see my friends. I couldn't go to the movies. I couldn't go to shul. What else would you call it? I was a prisoner in my own home, thanks to our wonderful mayor's stay-in-place order. As if I was going anywhere anyway. 83 years old, remember? Bad knees, shuffling walk. Where would I shuffle off to? Buffalo. But at least I could have if I wanted to. My family said, think of it as a staycation in paradise. In paradise, you can go out and pick apples from trees. No apple trees here. No picking fruit here. Okay, it wasn't all bad. I could read all the books I want, sleep all day, watch TV, maybe a little Netflix. So, what am I complaining about? It's because the governor, the mayor, my son in Los Angeles all said I can't leave my house. My son who lives with me knows better than to tell me what to do. So why did I listen to them? It's because you don't get to be 83 years old without a few problems. So maybe I've got a little asthma, diabetes, high blood pressure, nothing serious. But why take chances?
I seem to be in the highest risk category. I'm aged, I have compromising health issues, and even a blood type that appears to be most risky. I wonder if I should stop going to church. I said something like that to my son. He agreed that I should give it some thought, and actually that decision was made for me because in just a few days, the churches were closed. Restaurants were closed, and all were to practice isolation and social distancing. Such directives didn't bother me that much, and I was not overly concerned. I did stay at home for the most part. An exception was short bicycle rides with little close contact with others. A bigger worry was that my son might contact the virus at his work and bring it home to me. Even my family and friends were uninfected so far as I knew. Living on Maui seemed a relatively safe place, and reading of hundreds and thousands who were sick and the many who were dying seemed to be happening over there. I didn't know them, so I wasn't very compassionate, I'm afraid. Then I learned that a long-time family friend had COVID-19 and was in the hospital. That shook me up a bit. Perhaps I wasn't as sheltered as I thought I was. Someone I knew quite well was involved. I felt confident he would get the best of care. After all, he was an administrator at that very hospital. But things took a turn for the worse. I realized he might not make it. I, of course, couldn't be there to visit him, as I had been for another dying friend. In this situation, even his family couldn't visit. Even if one doesn't get sick by themselves, they can have a supportive role. This pandemic has forced countless people to suffer alone and even die with no visitors except for isolation-clad nurses and doctors. My friend did not die. Many feel that God had a hand in inspiring the doctors to intervene in experimental ways to allow him to recover. He did get back on his feet and was back to work in a short time, but this virus is very nasty. His body had been weakened so that he's susceptible to other health issues. I wonder how it'll all play out. I wonder, too, how much each of our worlds will suffer, if not by the virus itself, then by other things that result from the pandemic. I seriously doubt things will return to the way they were. Still, I try to live cautiously and courageously and with a hope for a brighter future.
I'm asked how I am, and I say I'm okay. I say I'm okay, but I'm not okay. It's just an answer to a rude question. How are you? I'm okay. I'm surviving. Well, you know. An answer that neither lies nor lays guilt at the foot of the asker. I say I'm okay, but I'm not okay. I wear a colorful mask to hide my concerns. No, I mean an actual colorful mask. I have them all. Tie-dye, colorful paw prints, Hello Kitty. I even have rainbow unicorn. When I respond, I try to make my smile go all the way up to my eyes. I try, but I'm not okay. I look through pictures from the past, 1 year back, 2 years, 5 years, and I'm warmed by their memories. But I can't live in the past or else I may get lost there. So I look towards the future, right? But the future holds no certainty. So I live in the present, bleak as it may be. I live in the moment, but I'm not okay. Where my life used to be full of friends and fun, content and costumes, dissension and decisions, now it's a screen asking me, next episode? Or are you still watching? And I press yes. I press yes, but I'm not okay. I see my friends at the line in Target, or talk to them on the phone, or I see them on Zoom, and we talk about the latest show we're watching, or a funny meme, or the latest funny thing our spouses or pets or babies did. But soon our conversation turns to the news, the numbers, and the safety levels of bubbles. The conversation ends. They leave. I'm in no one's bubble, and I'm not okay. At night, I lie in bed. I'm not physically tired, but I'm mentally exhausted. My tea sits untouched as I stare up at the ceiling. I feel like I'm in the ground, cold and alone. I go to sleep, but I'm not okay. I wake up and I make my bed, and I wash my face, and I brush my hair, and I fold the laundry, and I do these things not because anyone cares if I do them, but because this is normal. This is okay. But I am not okay. I'm asked how I am, and I say I'm okay. But I'm not okay. But for this time, this moment, that's okay.
Life is a cabaret, old chum. Life is a cabaret. Not now. Due to COVID-19, the clubs are closed. There's no dance floors for me to bust my moves. I miss the joy of laughing with my friends. I've gotten to know my couch quite well, but the cushions don't talk back. I even tried to chat up my ceiling fan. It blew me off. I'm beholden to senior social distancing shopping hours, but there's nothing social about distancing. I look up and I see masks, not smiles, when someone warmly greets me. I don't recognize their faces. Hi, Lila. Hi. Oh, hi. I'm tired of that. The only personal drama in my life at the moment is at 7 p.m. Mondays with our Kupuna acting class of characters. And that's on Zoom. I just miss being with people. The irony of all this is that although after 30 years, COVID has closed my store, but we're still here in our temporary shop that is loved by everyone who visits us. The saving grace is I live on Maui. Not a day goes by that I don't appreciate the beauty and the gifts of Maui, when every morning starts with a bowl of pineapple, papaya, mango, dragon fruit, whatever comes my way. And then I open the door to Maui's beauty and aloha. When the trade winds are blowing, I step out on the porch, set my feet, and I let them sway me to and fro. Wherever they want me to go, I go. I have fond memories of driving down from Haiku down on a highway and screaming in glee, seeing the sun's rays shining down onto and into Iao Valley's peaks and valleys. I love it. At historic Ahumanu Church, I'd sit in the shade of the monkey pod tree, listening to their talented Hawaiian musicians, strumming their ukuleles and guitars, and singing their beloved traditional songs of Hawaii. And it still catches my heart. I love walking along the beach at sunset as the tide ebbs and flows, looking at the bright orange sun setting into the ocean and hoping for a bright green flash. And then I'm mesmerized by the ever-changing colors of the sky. After setting, the sun's orange reflection on the dark clouds make me think of lava flowing down the mountains. I am so grateful to be living on our little island in the middle of the Pacific. The beauty of Maui is getting me through these trying times. I'm hoping to dance again soon. I'm also hoping to laugh again with my friends. I'm looking forward to reopening the doors of the Love Shack. I can't wait to breathe free. Life is still a cabaret, just not the same way.